This presentation on Czechoslovakian perfume bottles is brought to you by members of the Czech specialty group of the IPBA. We focus on the stopper bottles produced between the wars. We hope you enjoy. The country was formed after World War I, and surprisingly it was planned at a moose hall in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Near the end of the war, 20 Czechs, Slovaks, and Rusicans who were political activists living in the U.S. met and signed the Pittsburgh Agreement. It laid the foundation for the establishment of Czechoslovakia in late 1918 at the end of the war. Initially it was two words, Czechoslovakia. At some point later it became one word, and it will be seen both ways. Czechoslovakia was situated in Central Europe. It was comprised of four regions: Bohemia, Moravia, Slovakia, and Ruthenia. Bohemia was always a center of glass production and the area where our perfume bottles were made. Glass prior to 1918 is Bohemian, not Czechoslovakian, as the country didn't exist. It has been part of the Great Moravian Empire, the Holy Roman Empire, the Bohemian Empire, and finally the Austrian Empire until World War I. Glass was initially made for religious uses, but when the Bohemian dynasty rulers took over, they controlled who made glass and where. The control of the glass industry changed to the local estate owners under the early Austrian Empire. In the mid-1800s, glass schools were founded in Kamenecký Senov and Nový Bor. Glassmaking prospered with the introduction of the railroads in the 1870s, which brought in coal, and more glass houses were built. The new country of Czechoslovakia had opened more glass schools and created many glass products for export. The most prized Czech perfume items we collect were produced during this time. In 1938, the German Nazis invaded the country until the end of World War II. After 1945, the German glassmakers were expelled from the country, leaving behind some Czech makers, but not the magnitude to maintain the glass industry. In 1948, when the Communist Party took over, they merged the small producing companies into nationalized companies of greater size under Glasexport. In the 1950s, the glass coming out of Czechoslovakia was shown at world exhibitions and did well. After the fall of communism with the Velvet Revolution in 1989, the Slovaks wanted to have their own country. In 1993, Bohemia became part of the new Czech Republic, along with Moravia, but without Slovakia. The glass industry changed to older patterns of production and has prospered. Reproductions of the old perfume bottles appeared on the market around 1994. The amazing variety found in all other aspects of Czech perfume bottles also holds true for the colors of glass available. By experimenting with the ingredients added to the glass mix, Czech glassmakers were able to produce a veritable rainbow of colors. Basic colors include clear, pink, purple, blue, yellow, green, red, and black. However, with each basic color group, there may be a wide range of hue going from light to dark. The thickness of the glass and whether the surface is frosted or polished can affect how the color is perceived. Pink may go from blush to rose. Purple may go from lavender to amethyst, or from heather to violet. Blue may go from pale ice blue to cobalt, from aquamarine to turquoise. Green may range from apple to emerald, and yellow may go from soft champagne to canary, and from gold to dark amber. Red tends to be more consistent, but still ranges from brilliant red to rich ruby. Even black can range from smoky gray to jet black. Some colors are rare or less commonly found as perfume bottles due to the cost of ingredients, the difficulty of manufacture, or lack of popularity among the general public. Vaseline and teal are two of these. The technique of mixing two or more colors together to create a swirled or mottled coloration is a variation more commonly found in atomizer-type bottles. Occasionally, a whole rainbow of colors may be found in one bottle. As the Czech perfume bottles were produced primarily for export, they should be marked "Made in Czechoslovakia," or just Czechoslovakia somewhere on the bottle. The acid-etched mark is the most common and typically appears on the polished bottom of the bottle as the words "Made in Czechoslovakia" in an oval, or a circle, or as the simple line or lines of type. I will warn you that these acid marks are often difficult to see. Sometimes tilting the bottom in a bright light or rubbing the bottom with alcohol will help make them visible. The Ingrid line of glass features the name Ingrid in script, followed by Czechoslovakia. Pressed glass bottles typically have a molded mark on the bottom. Simple ink or paint stamp marks come in a variety of colors and are typically circular in shape. On bottles with metal fittings, the mark is usually stamped into the metal neck, but also may be found on the top of the metal threads. On bottles decorated with metal filigree, a tiny metal tag is usually attached to the filigree, or cap. A variety of paper labels may be found alone or in conjunction with any of the other marks. Bottles may also retain an importer label on the bottom or a flat side, such as Aristo, Morley, and Iris being the most common. Iris also had their name molded into some bottles. Miniature Czech bottles like these were inexpensive and popular. These were referred to as Lilliputian in a 1934 advertisement for Aristo bottles imported for Marshall Field and Company. Some Lilliputian bottles were made to look like popular commercial perfumes of the day. Two examples are shown next to Shalimar by Guerlain. This card set miniature might have been given as a prize or favor at a card party. Clear red was used sparingly on Czech minis. Note, it is used more for stoppers and for decorations with clear glass bases. Bottles in clear and shades of lavender. Note the two identical Cupid stoppers. Figural stoppers on minis are desirable. Pink jeweled minis. Pink is the most common color for the colored minis. Mini Czech bottles often have tall tops, giving them the same height as regular bottles. 3 hard-to-find minis, 2 with molded animal heads, and the third, a mini in the form of a woman. Purse bottles are identified by their screw caps. They can be carried in a purse without spilling. The glass on these bases is finely cut. Hinged cases may surround the inner bottles. The second and third from the left are embossed in the metal bases with the importer, Iris. The same grouping with some cases open. 2 tiny jeweled bottles with cut glass bases. The center bottle is a dresser mini. A grouping of 5 fine jeweled purse bottles with enamel decoration as well. Bottles in a similar style with different jeweling. Each has an inner stopper. 3 lay-down bottles, all about 3.5 inches in length. These items with pay-point stitchery are most often credited to Austria. Courting couples on porcelain decorate these fronts. Souvenir purse bottles of places traveled. Caged purse bottles, carefully assembled in cottage industry. Workers were poorly paid for their labor. Ingrid purse bottles appeared in about 1934. Most of the purse and dresser Ingrid bottles were opaque green, blue, or black. Red can be found. Bakelite caps in red or black are common on these bottles. 2 Ingrid purse bottles from the same mold. Transparent Ingrid bottles are rare. 2 Ingrid bottles. The green cap on the nude bottle is Bakelite. Dangle bottles have molded bases with the word iris embossed in the base glass. They are prized for the variety of charms that hang from the caps. Elephants, dice, hearts and flowers, animal dangles, doll or raggedy dangles. Note the capstone matches an element in the bead couple. Dutch shoe dangles with tiny multicolored gems in the toes of the glass shoes and caps. And 3 very rare dangle bottles. Unusual and delightful molded animal heads top these iris bottles. An iris mini dresser set with a tiny covered ring or trinket box. Another iris set in a metal basket. Cinderella's slipper, made in Czechoslovakia and in Japan. Twin sets for the dresser. Red twin dresser set with a colored dauber. Black accented triplet set has an Aristo paper sticker. It is fun to find intact multiple sets. Cut glass designs were more popular from 1918 to the mid-1920s, when the Art Deco period began. As many as 100 glass houses, or huts as they were called, were producing glass blanks that were sent to a refiner for cutting. These pressed glass blanks were hand-cut on wheels made from iron or natural stone that were mounted on a frame or lathe. Blanks were made in a variety of colors. In addition to colorless glass, pink, blue, green, and yellow were most common. Less common colors were smoke, amber, purple, red, turquoise, and brown. Multi-point stars were a common theme. Even simple straight cuts made at the diagonal on the bottle and stopper could produce a wonderful and interesting design to reflect light. The cut pattern on the base of the bottle was often synonymous with the stopper to create one harmonious design. Other types of cuts include blazes, fans, diamonds, mitered edges, flutes, hobnails, and prisms, all in geometric design. The focal point of many bottles was the stopper, which could be much taller than the base or in an unusual shape to command attention. A rare turquoise or teal cut and mold bottle with tiara stopper. Cut glass cornucopia bottles were also a popular design. Floral stoppers were primarily an intaglio design. The design was created below the surface of the glass. Hand tools were used to refine the design, creating an intricately detailed and quite realistic floral image. Selected areas were then polished, leaving portions of the design with a frosted appearance. Most stoppers are colorless glass, but once in a while, one might find a colored stopper to match the base of the bottle. Infrequently, stoppers were made with a design on both sides of the glass, or double intaglio. The glass on these stoppers may be twice the thickness of the one-sided stoppers, with a different design on each side. The flowers on this stopper are impressed on one side, and the basket is engraved on the other. Less common are floral stoppers that were mold-blown with the design in relief. Flowers in relief appear occasionally on cut glass stoppers. This stopper features double intaglio bluebells with molded flowers along each side. This brown floral wreath stopper is relief molded with an open center. A number of stoppers were made to show openings through the glass. The basket here has an opening to create the handle. This type of stopper is called open work or pierced. A ring of roses with an opening in the middle creates a wreath-like effect. Flowers of all types, some with birds, butterflies, or other creatures, can be found in seemingly endless designs and shapes. Daubers are glass wands or sticks on the end of the stopper plug. They were used to apply the perfume, and they reached the bottom of the base. These early Czech bottles all had them, and they came in 3 types. A few were attached by cement or glue into a hole that had been drilled into the plug. Rarely, the stopper, plug, and dauber were molded as one piece. The most common type uses a drop of hot glass for attachment. The dauber pushed into the hot glass forms a ring as it fuses to the plug. Colored daubers may be found on Hoffman bottles. Here you can see the glass ring formed at the attachment point. If a dauber is broken off, the presence of this glass ring will assure you that it is an original Czech stopper and not a reproduction. If the ring is ground off, the plug will look the same as all the reproduction stoppers that are produced with just a flat plug. Daubers can be replaced, but epoxy resins are used to glue them on and don't have the look of an original on the right. Acetone will remove or cloud the glue of a replaced dauber. This pair of matching bottles have stoppers that lock or seat tightly in the neck opening. Stoppers should have little wobble when locked. Each stopper is fitted with its specific base opening to lock and sit at a correct height in the neck of the base. Even when these matching stoppers are switched, they do not fit correctly. The one on the right sits too high, and the frosted plug shows above the lip of the neck. The one on the left sits too low, and part of the stopper face is actually down into the neck opening.